Hi, and welcome back to Lisa's Stamp Studio. My card today has a little bit more of a masculine flair to it, but it certainly can be changed up for the women as well. I'm using the Lilypad Lake Bundle. You're going to find this product in the annual catalog with Stampin' Up, and it is currently on the retired list as a bundle, although the products are being carried over individually. And here's the card we're going to be creating together today. I'm going to give you some watercolor wash techniques for the background on the shimmery white cardstock. If you are here visiting from YouTube, I would love to encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the subscribe button below, and right next to it, you're going to find a small bell icon. If you click that, you'll receive notifications of when I'm live here on YouTube, as well as when I upload new videos. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's card. Here's a close-up of the card we're going to be creating together today. This is a fabulous stamp set, especially for masculine cards. I'm going to protect my work surface because the very first thing I'm going to do is some watercoloring, and I'm using shimmery white cardstock. This paper is absolutely stunning. I don't know if you're going to be able to appreciate it in the video, but it has a gorgeous shimmer that's built into the cardstock, so you don't have to worry about any flaking. This paper is very resilient to watercoloring, which is one reason why I love to use it. I'm going to use the Pool Party ink pad to lay some color down on here. I've got a clear block, and I'm going to pick up some color right here from the ink pad. I'll be using an aqua painter. This is a self-contained paintbrush. I absolutely love it. You just unscrew it, fill it with tap water. It really eliminates the need to dip inside a cup. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze a little bit of water from the brush onto the block, and then I'm just going to mix it together so it's a little bit more watery to make it easier to watercolor. And then all I'm going to do is create a wash on the background of the shimmery white cardstock. And you can see there's no rhyme or reason to this. It doesn't really matter where you lay it, where you start, or where you finish. We want a very random looking background. To clean the aqua painter, you're going to hold it over your Stampin' Chamois or your Stampin' Scrub and then squeeze water so that they run through the bristles until it rinses clean. Once you've done that, I do recommend that you pinch the bristles together to a nice point before you cap it. That's going to ensure that you don't end up with any stray hairs here around the bottom. This now can be cleaned right on top of your chamois or your Stampin' Scrub. We're going to set this aside to dry for just a few minutes while we work on the rest of our card. If you have the heat tool, you can use that to speed up the drying process. I have a thick piece of Whisper White cardstock here. You're going to find all the cutting dimensions down in the video description below if you are here from YouTube. Since I'm going to be using the Stampin' Blends, I'll be using the Memento ink pad. And remember that Pool Party ink pad we used just a few minutes ago? Well, we're going to use it again. We're using the pieces from the Lilypad Lake stamp set. In fact, we're actually using it as a bundle. It comes with the Lakeside framelits. If you purchase it as a bundle, it will save you 10% so that you'll get both. This product is being carried over into the new catalog on June 4th, but they will not be sold as a bundle. They will be sold individually. You'll be able to find those products in the annual catalog. If you're interested in receiving a copy, go over to lisastampstudio.com and click Contact Me and provide me with your address. I'll be more than happy to send you a complimentary copy. I'm going to go ahead and ink up that wave stamp that's included in that stamp set. I'm going to travel across my ink pad because it's larger than the pad itself. I'm going to stamp off a layer of ink on my scratch paper because I want it a little bit lighter here on my cardstock. The Memento ink pad is what I'm going to use to stamp my sailboats since I'm going to be using those Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to go ahead and ink those up, and I'll stamp those here on top of the waves. I'm going to flip that over so it's not so distracting, and I'm going to use the Stampin' Blends to color this in. These are alcohol-based markers, and they will penetrate the paper somewhat, so you're going to want to protect your work surface. I'm going to start with the dark crumb cake. You're going to find that the tips are designated by the lines underneath the cap. So this is the thin or the chisel tip, and this is the brush tip. And since this is a very detailed area, I'm going to go ahead and use the thin side, and I'm going to color in the base here of my sailboats. Then I'm switching over to the dark Pool Party to do some of the sails. The one reason I love the Stampin' Blends is simply because the coverage is flawless. Unlike dye-based markers, they're not going to leave streaks behind. You're able to actually color them in and then let them dry, and there will be perfect even coverage. We're not going to do any shading today, so I'm going to use these just straight up for the color that they are. I'm moving over to the dark Night of Navy, and then I'll color in the other sails. I'm going to adhere the sailboats to a layer of crumb cake cardstock. I love to use my silicone craft sheet because adhesive will not stick to it. It simply rubs right off, which is going to keep my work surface nice and clean. So I'm going to flip this over, and you can see where those alcohol ink pads have slightly penetrated the thick Whisper White cardstock. And then I'm going to adhere this to this layer. I have an additional layer of Night of Navy cardstock. I'm going to add this one to here as well. This is the piece that we watercolored. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my greeting. I'm going to use the Memento ink for this, and I've pulled out the words from that same stamp set that say, "Thinking of you with loving thoughts and prayers." I'll go ahead and ink that up. I'm going to stamp that here near the bottom. From the coordinating dies, I'm going to pull out this wave die that's included, and we're going to die cut that area here on the card. I've got my die cutting machine here, and I have that cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and lay that die right on top, looking to center it the best I can on my cardstock. And then I'll go ahead and I'll just protect that die with that clear mat, and we'll crank that through. Pulling out the pieces will leave the negative area for the colored cardstock to show through. I've cut myself a square here of crumb cake cardstock, and I'm going to use my scissors to cut this on the diagonal. I'm going to use this as a decorative corner on my cards. So back here with my silicone craft sheet, I am going to add adhesive down in this corner here. So I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to add adhesive to that corner. I want to make sure it's going to hold that cardstock in place. And then I'll lay that here, and I'm just going to miter that. So I'm going to leave a little bit of that crumb cake cardstock showing. And I'm going to do the same thing now with this upper corner. Now I'm ready to adhere this to the card base. So I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to add adhesive in my corners. I'm using a Night of Navy card base that I folded in half, and I'm going to adhere this to the front of the card. Once I have it tacked down, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to rub from the back to secure it. I'm very careful not to do that from the front because I don't want to rip those waves. We're going to go ahead and flip that over. I'm going to use pre-cut pieces of dimensional. I love these double pieces of foam tape. I don't have to worry about getting my scissors all sticky. I do like to use a sufficient amount of them because I'm aware that I'm going to be mailing my card. And as it goes through the postage machine at the post office, the rollers can actually distort the image. So go ahead and use a sufficient amount. And I'm going to mount that here in the center towards the top of the card. It's a great masculine card, and this stamp set has an array of greetings for all different occasions. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up here on YouTube. It makes them and I both very happy. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.